Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another NIKKE reaction. Today we have New Year, New Sword, apparently the theme for a character called Camellia, who I'm sure I'm about to meet. This song was requested by a long-standing community member, Speedy4004. They're not a Patreon member or anything, but I constantly see them in the comments and have for many months, and I figured it was high time to give back to somebody who's been around for so long and has been so loyal on these requests and asking constantly for more. So, hi, Speedy. Thank you very much for requesting this one. I needed a song real bad, and I figured this one would be kind of fun since it's still relatively close to the new year. 21 days in, it's close enough. Without further ado, let's go.
When the time comes, leaves will fly with the wind.
Ooh.
Will it also take my memories from me?
Ooh, okay.
So
beautiful voice.
Never touched any light. The light that was high in the sky.
Well, now I'm all excited.
All flowers turn to the earth, even the one that was cherished by all. Learning to let go of what you once loved, and that's
okay.
you're ready to move on. Even the dark cloud has its own silver light.
This one has a little bit of a Celtic flair to it. I don't know if that's intentional, but some of the melodic choices are very reminiscent of that. All right. I'm definitely starting to hear more of a kind of traditional Asian influence in the melody now. A lot of times songs that are inspired by both Celtic and Asian heritage have kind of similar energy to them. I think that they favor very similar melodic structures.
Touch of the breeze, waltzing together down the lane from memory. Seasons have changed and now a new melody plays so now.
All right. I really like the energy on this one. I say that often, but there's something special with this one. I think I'm partial to the emotion this one is sharing. Okay, messing around with the mix. Having the like backing vocals echo between the ears, that's really clever. All right. Beautiful song though, for real. I'm definitely going to have to touch on this one a little bit more. I mentioned during the reaction that there is some similarities between Celtic and Japanese and Chinese kind of flares in their melodic structures, their harmonies and everything. I think that they favor a very similar overall tone, and those can be kind of hard to decipher if you don't get to a certain point. I got to the point where I was like, oh, this is very clearly more of the eastern side of it rather than the west. Comparatively, when Asia goes for this sort of subject matter, when it talks about like lovers lost and everything, it tends to lean more in that dramatic area more than the Celtic side of music that seems to talk about more of the what good could come of it, or the peace, the coming of peace of mind that is the result of it, instead of the this is how things are now, I'm sad. You know, like there's that sorrow that comes with it in Asia that, while yes, both touch on it, there is definitely a different overall approach. There's so much music worldwide, and there are always exceptions, but in the bulk, I feel like they tend to lean in the favor of those two directions when they approach this subject matter. I know that the subject matter for this song was not the Lover's Lost one. It was more of the past and present, the how to move on, where things are going to be in the future and where I came from. That's more the message here. But I just felt like the Lover's Lost one was a better overall example with many more examples of it between both styles of music. Overall, the writing on this one, I really did enjoy the lyrics on it. The overall composition was very pretty. It had a lot of good sustain to it. It felt like it was constantly floating into the next section of the song. Every measure felt like it was smoothly moving along, blowing like a breeze. It was very, very smooth. I honestly think that if I may be bold and say that I didn't like a part of this song, it was probably the vocalist. Please don't hate me. At the beginning, I said she was immediately a good singer, and that's true. At the beginning, she was very comfortable. The notes were coming through very clear, but especially as it got to that chorus, I felt like the singer was struggling to get those notes out to belt it. And I know that the accent probably has a factor there. You're trying to sing something that's not native to you, and that creates a whole slew of trouble when you're trying to sing to get the accent correct. Trust me, been there, done that. It's a pain. But there's also a tonality factor there, and while I am not a professional singer by any means, I feel like this singer definitely struggled in the higher notes as it got into that full crescendo into the chorus. There was a lot of what felt like odd mouth shapes happening. It felt like she was restraining herself and either it's kind of the same effect like when you're singing in your room and you don't want to be too loud, so you take it down a little bit and it just doesn't sound as good. Belting can definitely be beneficial in some cases, and I feel like she was trying here, but I really can't tell if it was the lack of native speaking to the language that was doing that, or if it was just raw tonality and not knowing how to shape the mouth in order to get a better sound out of it. It could be a mixture of them, and it probably is, but I think the biggest factor there was probably the diaphragm support kind of lacking as it got to that high end, because you need all of that air being just set right here and pushing outward and just allowing it to take up all the space, where I felt like whoever was singing this one, I think their name was STARRYSKY, was struggling to get that much power in order to get to that note. And if it was a cap note for their range, would have definitely been affected by that sort of thing. They could have had as much breath as they needed, but if their range doesn't cap out there and it caps a little bit lower and you have to push it and there's that strain and you hear it, there's a bunch of factors that could have been there. Otherwise, she sang it beautifully, but there was just a little bit of like, could they have taken this song down even a quarter of an octave to allow a little bit more comfort range for this? Maybe. I feel like there was a little bit of poor choice there when it came to who ended up singing it. Not even the singer's fault. It probably could have been brought down an octave or so. Just little things. Other than that, beautiful song and beautiful performance. I'm trying to be a little bit more brave with my statements lately rather than just going, wow, it's great, next song. You know, I'm trying to offer up my actual opinions, and I'm just hoping people take that well. So please tell me if I should be more positive in general and just omit the stuff like I usually would, the negatives, because that's kind of what I've been doing. But I want to know if people actually appreciate me being a little bit more brazen on that subject matter and voicing my more general opinions of every subject instead of avoiding them in order to save face. And I really don't want to end on a sour note like that, so I want to bring back some attention to that part where they had the vocals being processed between both of the ears that were like the backing vocals, not the main melody in the front. That was just kind of playing around with that a little bit. I thought that was really clever. I've heard people do that with guitars, drums, even various instruments have kind of bounced between. I've even heard it done with vocals a little bit, but not quite as smooth as this. It felt like there was a fairy flying around my head for just a few seconds there, and I thought on the production side of things that was really interesting and a very good idea. But I think that's where I'll call it. So thank you all so very much for watching. If you do like me sharing those negative opinions or not, please let me know down in the comments below, as well as leaving any songs you want me to get to in the future. I will do my best to get to them. And otherwise, if you want to follow and support me, you know how to do all that. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!